My name is Kenny Lee. I'm the Vice President of Marketing for Revinate.
Over the last few years, Revinate's evolved quite a lot. Can you tell us a bit?
Sure. So the company started 6 years ago where my co-founders, Mark Heinecker and Jay Ashton, they really saw a problem in the marketplace. And that problem was that hotels had a hard time understanding what people were saying about them online. With the explosion of basically the social web, it was really hard for hotels to really understand their online reputation. So they built a technology that allowed hoteliers to aggregate feedback, understand tone, sentiment, and really respond, right? They expanded that by adding on a surveys component, and those two technologies really helped hotels, again, understand how people felt about them. But the next challenge that hotels have today is they really don't know a lot about their guests. And what we're trying to do right now is help hotels better understand who their guests are. And what we've actually developed is a guest CRM meets email marketing platform. So the whole idea is understand what people are saying about you and know who they are so you can anticipate what their needs are, right? Big change.
Okay, and how's it been going?
It's been going really, really well, actually. We've signed on hundreds of customers right now. I think one of the challenges that we have is really helping educate hoteliers that they're empowered, right? I think today when you look at some of the big trends that are happening in the marketplace around just personalization, guest expectations are increasing, right? They don't want the one-size-fits-all experience. They really want things their way. And how do you do that at scale, right? The way that we're helping hoteliers do that is by helping them aggregate individual preferences and communicating with them. Because I'm relatively new to the industry, and what I've actually learned is that hotels have really been disintermediated in terms of the relationship between them and their guests. There's a lot of third parties that are in between that relationship, and we fundamentally believe that you should own a direct relationship with your guests.
And specifically when you say personalization, so does that mean last time I stayed at this hotel I had Coke, so I want another? What is?
Sure. So personalization can mean many different things, and for us, it can start off with a basic, hey, have you stayed with us before? How many times have you stayed with us? What are some of your preferences? Oh, we know that you like a spa. You might be a Scotch drinker versus a wine drinker, right? Knowing that information, and furthermore, if I think about adding things like, oh, you're the CEO of a company and you've got 5,000 Twitter followers, you've got an audience, right? All those things are helpful for a hotelier to understand how to tailor an experience. And that's what we mean by personalization.
But tailoring the experience must be quite a challenge for hotels. It's one thing to have information that allows you to do it, but is that something that you have to provide extra support or guidance for your clients?
So what we're finding right now is that for every hotel, it's somewhat different, right? Aggregating that information is the first step. And if you think about a lot of hotel systems, a lot of the information about their guests are trapped in different silos. We actually help bring it all together for all levels of hotel staff, whether it's the front desk or the GM, to understand who they are, and then they can take the appropriate actions, right? So really it's about empowering the hotel and their staff to take unique actions like, oh, knowing when you checked in, you like 3 pillows, on your bed, where someone else needs 10 towels. How do you do that ahead of time so that you don't have to ask, they just know?
Got it. And from the person actually practically working in the property, what is it there? How are they interacting with the system?
Sure. So what they're doing is when there's actually people checking in, they can see on screen who actually that guest is, and then basically what their preferences and interests are, and they could actually tailor that experience to them. So, we actually, the way that we talk about it is there's information that we can actually help personalize pre-stay. So you can offer, for example, if we know that, again, you like spas, we can actually say, hey, we've got a spa discount, book now ahead of time. During the stay, we've got a means to communicate with the guests through a mobile application. You can communicate directly with them and send them, offers or incentives. And then post-stay, we can also communicate with a series of personalized email campaigns that might get you to come back within 30 days, or, hey, your favorite team's in town, book now.
Great.
Things like that.
And you mentioned the desire to also help hotels drive direct bookings.
Absolutely.
I guess the kind of conversation that you're having with the guests process, which starts before they check in, requires that direct relationship. Have you found any ways to help hotels do that if they're getting bookings via OTAs?
Sure. So what we do is we actually have a recommended set of best practices to help hotels really collect information, right? You'd be surprised at how many hotels don't even ask for personal emails, right? Often at times, if they book through an OTA channel, they're not going to have that information. But there's so many ways to ask for that, right? Think about ways, for example, when you log onto Wi-Fi, right? There's a perfect opportunity there to actually ask for an email address, right? Offering maybe, tweet this at the bar, right? And we'll give you 5% off of, your meal or something like that, right? Do some social login. So there's a number of ways. It's just, I think hotels haven't really modernized in that respect of thinking about how to actually collect that information.
Right. And yours is a Silicon Valley, San Francisco company. So you, I guess, day to day, you and the other employees of the business are living right on the cutting edge of technology, and therefore likely to be heavy users of Twitter and the like. What kind of hesitation do you get from hoteliers from around the world who say, well, actually, we don't think many of our guests are using social media, and you may not get much information about a guest, what they like, because they don't use Twitter.
Sure. Well, I think about surveys as something that's really important. So, look, you might not be a heavy Twitter user or a Facebook user, but you might be a very proactive TripAdvisor user. You might write a lot of reviews, right? You want to be helpful and provide input. We make it really easy to be able to publish feedback really quickly and easily and seamlessly to TripAdvisor, right? So that's one way that we can encourage more publishing activity, if you will, on behalf of the hotel brand. And even if you're not, digitally, savvy or native, I do believe in one thing, which is there's a lot of conversations about millennials. And I think millennials get beat up a lot in terms of just, the perception around entitlement. But when I think about millennials and what they want, they've actually been given an expectation that other companies like Amazon, Netflix, or Uber have actually created. So, example, Netflix, right? When you watch a movie, it says, hey, recommended just for you because you saw this movie. Amazon is people like you bought these things, look at these other things. Uber is, I want my personal driver when I want it, and also I want to see when they're coming.
Yeah.
All of that is all just setting expectations higher, and everyone has that, I think, regardless of your age.
Great. And last thing, you mentioned the post-stay experience and the opportunity to sort of re-engage guests and get them to come and book direct again.
Yeah.
Have you seen any best practice in that? Any sort of top tips for other hotels?
Oh, yes. So what we often say is the first thing is get closer to your guests, like build a guest experience strategy. That starts off with actually analyzing your guest database. And what we typically see is if you're a hotel with an average, I'll just say about 100 rooms, typically with our marketing and engaged customers, they've got about 20,000 plus names in their database, and they're actively growing that. What they're doing subsequently, to answer your question, is they're looking at ways to segment their audiences, and they might say, find me all the people in my database that book through an OTA channel. Let me filter on that and send them a, hey, come back for the holidays or for Easter and book direct and save this, right? That's a great way to build a direct relationship. However, I want to say that it's all about being relevant, right? What we're finding is that you want to really understand your guests better, and that's the work on the hotelier, right? Nothing is free, nothing is cheap in terms of, you've got to earn your way to build their trust. So if you can figure out the right messages, communicate directly with them, and get them to book on your website directly, right? All of a sudden, you own that customer relationship.
Sounds like a fabulous future. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.